Hello everyone, it's Alex. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. So today I have my full review on the Anastasia Riviera palette. Can't even talk today, I'm sorry, I'm still sick. This is the Riviera palette. Let me catch my breath there. This palette obviously is part of their newest release as far as eyeshadows go. My understanding this is limited edition, but who knows how long they'll extend it and if it will stay limited edition or become permanent, that I don't know. You get 14 eyeshadows. This is $45. You can find it at Sephora on their website, and I believe you still could get it at Ulta. So this palette, the reason why it has been a big phenomenon, as well as Anastasia being the actual brand, is because this is not your typical Anastasia palette. Normally they either do a very curated palette. They have yet to do anything colorful, and this is the first time they do something very, very colorful. Now you do get a row of just these metallic-y shimmery shades, and then you get matte shades in here. My thoughts on this, now there's pros and cons to this. One, I do enjoy the packaging. I think it's very, very pretty. They're very good at doing packaging for their eyeshadow palettes because it really stands out and it goes with the whole theme of the actual shadows inside of them. So you do get some sort of vibe to them. The color story of this palette, I genuinely love. I do really love. I can see myself constantly using this. This is something that I would absolutely enjoy. I have been enjoying it while I've been wearing it. I do really like this palette a lot, but I am not in love with it. And I'm going to explain to you why. I feel like over the years, Anastasia's shadows have gotten more powdery than before. And that may be very well because they're trying to get the pigmentation into their shadows. I don't remember them being as powdery as this specific one is, but again, it may be because it is a colorful palette and they're not really known to have colorful palettes, so they're trying to test out the formula, which I'll give it to them. I can't complain about the pigmentation of this palette. Every single shadow, with the exception of one, really packed a punch, showed up on my eyes, lasted all day, absolutely no fading on here, and all the actual shadows worked well with one another. I didn't feel like I got a muddy mess. Again, that could also go down to technique of how you use colorful shadows, but I didn't find it to be hard to use. The only one that really didn't stand out was this one right here, which you guys saw in my first impression. The color Estate, it is exactly my skin tone, so you could barely see it, but I do like that one because I can buff out edges of other shadows on my eyes if I feel like it didn't really blend out the way I wanted it to, or I brought up the color too high. With that said, not every single shadow in here was made equally. And what I mean by that, I have found that 3 of the shimmery metallic shadows were super crumbly compared to the rest of them. And that is this blue one right here, this beautiful fuchsia color right here, and then this one down here. Those 3, whenever you would use, they are very, very crumbly and they pick up way too much powder that you get it everywhere. So you have to be very careful with those 3 shadows whenever you use them. How I found the best way to use them, because I could not really use them with a brush, it just was too much of a mess. I would pick it up with one finger, just slide it on my eye, and then use a clean finger to blend it out. That was the best way. If I used the same finger that I packed it on my eye, it would look very chunky. It would accentuate all the lines on my eyelids, and it wouldn't look so blended out. So I would use a clean finger to blend out what I put down, and if I needed to add more, go back to what was on my finger and use that. I didn't feel like I needed to re-dip in them because the pigmentation was there. Now you're probably looking at this and you're probably thinking, well, I'm not going to get a neutral look out of it. I actually was able to get quite a few neutral looks out of this palette that did not involve anything so bright and bold. If you went in with these 4 shades, obviously the one right here, these 5 shades, because this one really didn't work for me, but if you went in with this shade, this shade, this shade, and this brown shade as your crease shadows, you would be able to find and use it as a neutral eyeshadow palette with a bit of a kick up of the color. So you're not going to get your typical browns, but you still got an everyday neutral look. If you would put this one or this yellow one on your lid, it actually looked like an everyday shadow. This one packed on lightly on the eyes would actually show up as a sheer gold, not so much super yellow, but as a sheer gold. Look really, really beautiful and everyday put together. This yacht shade right here surprised me a bunch. It looks like your typical brown, you know, brownish, bronzy type of shadow, but when you put it on your eyes, it looked like it was trying to get champagne, it was trying to be bronze, it was trying to be gold. It was such a beautiful shadow. I did not expect to like that one the most. That one really looks so beautiful against my skin tone, and I used this color on the crease and then the brown on the outer V. It looks so beautiful. I absolutely fell in love with this color. The one color I thought I did not like, if you are a individual who really wanted a true white that really stood out, that was very, very pigmented, this is a really, really good white. The only other white that I've actually ever enjoyed was in the Lorac Pro palette, and this one's even more vibrant than that one in that palette. So if you're looking for a true white because you're very porcelain skin and you can't find something to highlight, this is a really, really good white shadow. So for this palette specifically, there are pros and cons. I do appreciate that Anastasia stepped out of their comfort zone and went with a colorful story. And I'm basing these on mainstream brands because indie brands are always known to be out there, fun, edgy, colorful. But when it comes to mainstream, it's very few and far between when you're finding a palette that doesn't have pops of colors or accent shades and more of a colorful palette with a few neutrals in it. So I do appreciate that Anastasia stepped out of their comfort zone for this. Something that I would have expected from Urban Decay to do, something colorful like this, and not so much from Anastasia. So I am very happy with that, that we're getting to that point where we're getting comfortable. People are getting comfortable and wanting color, something that I have enjoyed for a very long time, and I do appreciate that. So I am very happy with that. That's a pro for me. I do love the color story. I really, really do like the color story. Every single shadow in here came up to its plate and performed well as far as the pigmentation, the longevity, the way that they blended together. They played really nicely together. There are hits and misses in here, unfortunately, but that's just trying to tell, you know, I'm not expecting them to get it perfect because this is the first time that they're doing something like this. So I do not mind that. I have tried worse, but yet I have tried better ones from indie brands. There are less cheap than this. I've actually bought bundle sets that are cheaper than this that perform so much better, but I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, but I'm not letting you guys not know that, because I want you guys to know that this isn't the best of the best, but it's not the worst of the worst either. So you're wondering, who would I recommend this to? If you do not like powdery shadows, these are very similar to the Huda Beauty 9-pan ones, where they're very powdery, but yet you get pigmentation. You just got to learn how to work with them. Then you're probably going to like these. If you didn't like those, you didn't care for that formula, you're not going to like this formula at all. You know that Anastasia, if you have tried Anastasia's formula, you know how much kick they have. A little tip that I did want to share with you guys, I do not bounce my brush in these powders at all. What I do is I actually roll my brush in the shadow, and then that's how I get my actual color on the brush. Less pigmentation or less powder kicks up, so that way I'm not getting it all over the place and making a hot mess with them. That's just a little tip that I do with the mattes, and I already shared with you guys my tip that I use for the top ones as well. So anyway, back to who would I recommend this to. Somebody who's young, who wants to have some fun, who wants to try a higher end brand, who wants to try Anastasia but found that they were boring, that their color stories weren't already there. You wanted something bright and bold. You want something that comes with a metallic-y finish where you can kind of tone it down and make it more like a shimmery wash on your eyelids, or very, very packed on your eyelids and make it stand out. Somebody who wants to try color, this would be something for you. Somebody who doesn't mind the powdery shadows, this might be something for you. It all depends on what you're looking for. This isn't for everyone, and I'm not expecting everyone to love it. If you're an Anastasia lover, maybe this one might be something you want to add to your collection. If you've been waiting for a mainstream brand that comes out with something colorful, this might be something for you. If you own other brands that have these type of colors and you enjoy them, I would suggest just stick with them, because this might not be something for you. You may not get the most use out of it because the formula of the actual shadows are not blowing me away, but they are still nice. So I'm on the fence with it. Like I said, I like it, but I don't love it. But I gotta say that I do enjoy some of my indie brands a lot more than this palette. I'm not saying this is the worst one, but I am gonna say that I do like other ones more. I do enjoy the color story in this palette, and I think that's why I'm gravitating towards it more. I know how to work with them, but these are a little bit hit or miss, so you have to be careful of how you use them. If you did, I hate to compare it to it, but if you didn't like the subculture, maybe this might be not something for you. Might not be a brand that you might enjoy, because it kind of reminds me of the subculture in the sense of the formulation of those shadows, but not the color story. At least these work together where you can blend them together, and you're not going to get such a significant muddy mess if you know how to work with color. So that's my thoughts on this. I'm not giving it my 100% recommendations because of certain downfalls to it. I do enjoy it. I have used every single shadow in this palette. My goal whenever I do review something for you guys is to do my best to use as much of the shadows as I possibly can to be able to get a full understanding of the palette. And this one, I used every single shadow in here in a different look in my everyday life to really test them out. And I do like the fact that it lasted all day on my eyes. That's one of my main things for me personally, is because I have very oily lids. That's one of the main things that I look for in a shadow, is if it lasts all day, it's good for me, because I can't stand a shadow that looks amazing when I put it on, and at the end of the day, it looks like I barely put anything on my eyes, even though I put a lot of work into it. So for me, I will get used out of it. I do like it. You will see it more on my channel. It's just like the Huda palettes. You got to know how to use them. Certain shadows, you got to have a little bit more understanding and knowing how to use them. But overall, it's not a bad palette. It's just not my favorite when it comes to colorful palettes. But it is a good one, and I do really like the color story. Those are my thoughts. I hope I got my point across. It's just I don't ever want to say something's terrible just because of a few shadows, because it's not. But I want you guys to understand the full entire story, so then you know what you want. And if you want it, if you're looking for it, you're not going to get any surprises because I didn't mention something to you guys. I will list and link this down in the description box if you are interested in getting this palette. If you did purchase this palette, let me know what you think down in the comment section, because I would like to know your thoughts on it. If you kind of feel the same way that I do, or maybe you do love it, or maybe you do hate it. I know a few of you already had mentioned to me that you do not like the Anastasia formula, so you will be skipping out on it, which is understandable because not everyone likes a very powdery shadow. So anyway, I will catch you guys most likely tomorrow with a new video. And don't forget that a smile is the best makeup a girl can wear. Bye guys!